Hello and welcome, folks, to another exciting edition of the Michigan Panthers podcast. A couple more for the people right there. You best watch out because...
You're in the jungle now, baby.
Oh, I am your host, FBI_tugboat, literally everywhere.
Made out with a tugboat.
Hop on into it. I think the sound bites are probably one of my favorite parts of all of this. Yes, this is today is May 20th, on Tuesday. We'll be reviewing the past week, previewing the next week. I always get those two mixed up. And talking a little bit about playoff, what changes to the roster and whatnot. Obviously, a few names need to be spoken of, and the playoff picture, just in general, right? We'll get there when we get there. But yes, this last week, week 8 of the UFL, as you see right here, bang. There you go, Arlington and DC going down to the wire there as well. Wonky end right there, man. Luis Perez decides to audible this instead of just spiking it, kicking the field goal, go to OT, which would have made the second overtime game of this week, which would have been super exciting. All of these, 3 points, the maximum difference between these between these three games. Obviously, a little bit more of a blowout in Houston. Sorry. Let's hop on into it. Let's see. 30-18. Take the W right here. This was kind of a consolation touchdown back here. Didn't really affect anything. Ultimately, didn't really affect anything gambling-wise either. I don't think so. Yeah. Oh no, actually it did. Yes, that it was 42 before then. Pre-game total was 42.5. So anybody who took the under hated that last tutty right there. Oh well. Let's talk a little bit about this. Yeah, so a bunch of early running back success actually here. Can we that's the field goal. You can't really see right there. You can't really see so much. We'll just use the stats right here. But yes, there's a Quandre right busted off this 45-yard rush in the first quarter right there. That led to the field goal after we held him in the red zone. Lorenzo Lingard also busted off this 21. They got about 70 yards of rushing in the first quarter alone. Frank Ginda out. You got to expect this defensive line to not perform as well, right? That is just math right there. And hands in the air, backing away slowly, folks. I will admit it, right? I have spent 2 years, right now, really, decrying Danny Etling. And the man looked good. I think 3 or 4 of these incompletions were in the fourth quarter as well. No interceptions. Well, I mean, granted, this is Houston. It's not St. Louis, so no situation where he comes in, interrupt the pace of play there for Bryce Perkins, and then throws like 3 passes, 1 for a completion for like 6 yards or something like that, and then the interception that would ultimately go in and kind of decide that game. Sorry. Even in saying good things about him, I still find myself talking shit, right? We all get one. Danny Etling here honestly did very, very well. Showed up in the rushing game as well, average of 4.4. If this was, if you had a 4.5 point average off 2 rushes on 9 yards, okay, But also, this wasn't like some huge, busted off a long one right here. There's a lot to be said for consistency, and I gotta say, Danny Etling did show that in the running game. Again, Houston defense, a little bit of a different story than some of the other teams, towards the bottom half of most rushing defensive stats. It is what it is, right? Danny Etling did well. Really, the biggest thing right here is the no interception, right? The 3 passing touchdowns, honestly, a little bit surprising. We didn't get a single touchdown on the ground right here. A little bit surprising. I know a lot of people were expecting a lot from Toa-Taua. Again, did not get those 46 yards by busting off any long ones. 3.8 is respectable. A little bit better right there is 4.5. Again, maybe a little bit of a lower sample size with only 6 and 5 rushing attempts. Once again, folks, the team with the most yards, hands down the most yards, by the way, right? More than doubling us up or just about doubling us up on the passing totals, and about 30 more yards on the rushing totals. Yes, they got a lot more than us, and we still won. Not just one, but double score difference right there. 14 for 22, 167 yards, 3 tutties, no interceptions, a 63.6% completion percentage, whatever, right there, and a solid rating. Let's take a look at our receiving core here. Yeah, Malik Turner really winning the day. There wasn't anybody who missed more than two balls thrown their way. Danny Etling did a great job spreading this ball around. Right, there was this big one here to Devin Ross. The other one was just a short, as you can tell, do the math. The other one's just a short little 4-yard dump, but it was that longer 135, the longest I believe of any passing of any completion of either of these two teams. Fantastic stuff. Syosset Manor only targeted twice, but the second time was on a penalty on a flag that was like DPI or holding on Houston, so obviously did not count. But only getting targeted once. If Perkins is back next week, expect these numbers to get a little higher, and probably of 18 completions, probably look towards like 14 maybe between these two. Toa taking the majority of them, and Bryce Perkins getting at least like 3 or 4 more, right? With probably a lot more yardage. But I'll talk about my strategy and what I'm trying to predict Mike Nolan is doing a little bit later. Something else I was a little bit surprised about is the tight ends here. Gunnar Oaks, Cole Hikutini with Jalen Windermere on not IR, but was injured coming into this. Only 2 even targets going that way, but so I think that kind of speaks to. Obviously Bryce Perkins was announced injured, like wasn't going to play like literally like 5 minutes before this game. Kind of brutal, right there. It is what it is, right? As it is, you expect a little bit more tight end play, and even when Danny Etling was starting, there was a little bit more tight end play right here. So a little bit surprising right there. But other than that, outside of the lower targets for Syosset Mariner, Devin Ross, glad to see this guy's back. But again, this is kind of indicative of a Etling heading this team versus Bryce Perkins. Jalen Moore, I was kind of surprised about this one as well. Only targeted 3 times, catch for 2, 1 for 11, 1 for 13 right there. But yes, Malik Turner really winning the day right here. Justin Hall, my goodness, and now I have good things to say about Jalen McClendon, fighting back right here. 50 attempts. That's probably the most out of any UFL quarterback this season. Maybe Perez or Jordan Teamo would have a higher like completion, but almost either one of them probably not having a higher. Luis Perez dumps the ball off a whole lot. Jordan Teamo definitely would not have this many attempts for that completion ratio. Interception for him, 2 tutties though, 316. Like airing it out right there. I already talked about the rushing game a little bit. Justin Hall, man, Justin freaking Hall, 88 yards for a tutty, and the longest 21. So it's not like one of these was for like 60 yards or something like that, and that was the vast majority right here. Kiki Chisholm was carving us up, but we got a lot of passes broken up. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Lawrence Keys as well, fantastic. Honestly, excuse me. Jalen McClendon did a fantastic job of spreading this ball around a lot as well, but also absolutely feeding Justin Hall, and Justin Hall is a danger. If we played this game 10 times, I think Houston wins a couple of those times. Houston is not, I'll admit it, Houston, especially with Jalen McClendon there, is not the just whipping boy that we've seen in the past. Looking at the defense now, Arnold Tarpley and Kedrick Whitehead really showing up in the absence of Frank Genda. 5 passes broken up between the two of them. My goodness. This is so what? 8 of the 50 pass attempts were broken up by these guys, and obviously one of those being for the interception from Kenny H. Lovely, which was a pick 6 as well. Fantastic stuff. Big shout out to DJ Miller. We've been doing a good job of spreading around responsibilities even when injuries come, right? Breland Speaks was out earlier, being this week. We'll talk about that in a second. Excuse me. DJ Miller was the guy with 2 interceptions as well. Just really great defensive stuff. And now let's talk about the tackles for losses. 5 of them. No sacks right here. McClendon did not get sacked at all, but tackle for losses on. I believe one of those was on the other. God damn it, the other one. There you go, Lorenzo Lingard, not Zaquante Wright, but the rest of them obviously. Obviously, we're taking a look over here. No interceptions, only 1 pass broken up. Honestly, Danny Etling threw the ball really well. No shade that I can toss over here. Fumble recovered there by Ron Stone. Man, Luis Perez also is fumble rooskies, man. Absolute fumble rooskies. Trying to run the ball is just not built for it, man. Corn Elder got in there, 4 solo tackles as well. Honestly, Houston played a pretty good defensive game, kept us to relatively low yardage. Cannot lie. Now, we'll talk a little bit about strats here for old Mike Nolan, Steve Kazor. You look at a win and you're in situation coming into week number 8 right there, right? 6-2. no, 5-2 record, excuse me, with only losses to the St. Louis Battlehawks and to the Birmingham Stallions, right? Knowing that the Stallions were pretty much clinched up as well, and the other side of the bracket, the other side of the bracket, the XFL, is pretty much determined. So what we have is Houston, Birmingham, Houston, right? Now, in the past, again, we've just absolutely whipped up on this team, and it's just been easy dub, like an easy 2-0 every single season. But Houston isn't as good as or Houston is better than they have been in the past, right? Jalen McClendon, like I said, all props to him. B, it is kind of this precarious situation. C, we're the best we've ever looked, and honestly, with Bryce Perkins at the helm, I feel like has the best opportunity to beat the Birmingham Stallions. We are 0-6 against them, right, between the postseason or between regular season and postseason across the past 3 years. No, I think 7-0. Excuse me, counting. 0-7, I should say. We have not won against them ever. Period in the story, regular season, postseason, notwithstanding, right? And so Bryce Perkins comes into this with a right ankle injury. You sit him, you rest him for a week. I love that idea of trying to get a situation established in this Week 9 matchup against the Birmingham Stallions. Against the Birmingham Stallions in a situation we've never done it before, but ultimately one that actually doesn't fully matter, right? So, folks, I can't believe I'm saying this, but don't be surprised if we see Danny Edling again. It's a game that doesn't matter, right? It would be nice to go forth and win both of them, but we just don't really need to in the quarterback situation, especially if Bryce Perkins isn't feeling 100%. Run Danny Etling again. He just did good last week, right? And this game doesn't matter. We'll play Houston after that. And if Bryce Perkins is still injured, even more so if he's not feeling 100%, why put him in, risk him getting injured when the most important game is not this weekend or next weekend, it's the weekend after that. It's the USFL playoffs right there, the USFL championship, the divisional playoffs right over on that side, and beating the Birmingham Stallions. That's really the biggest. That really is the biggest. I mean, obviously, right? Getting there would be amazing because we've never gotten past the Birmingham Stallions. They've always been on our side of the division. They've always had our number. Again, regular season, postseason. So what I'm saying, folks, and I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud, right? But don't be surprised, and I will not be running for the hills if Danny Etling starts and plays the entirety of Week 9 and Week 10. Obviously, feel like Week 9, if it's close, right? If Danny Etling doesn't just get blown out, if it's close, especially towards the end of the game, if we just need to run clock and stuff like that, we need that dual threat quarterback, then sure, pull in Bryce Perkins, get that W, but don't go for it because it just doesn't matter ultimately, right? I would much rather so we're 0-7 right now. We'll play 2 more games. I would much rather our record against them be 1-8 with a regular season loss and the postseason victory to get us to the UFL championship with Bryce Perkins at the helm, 100% healthy in 3 weeks, not this upcoming weekend or weekend after. Again, I cannot believe that I'm saying this. I cannot believe I'm finally saying this, but between Danny Etling looking good and just the strategy behind having a fully healthy Bryce Perkins, because if we don't even have that threat, if Bryce Perkins plays this week and gets injured and we win a meaningless game, then that is a worst possible scenario, right? Like maybe if you play him this weekend, he tweaks something, he takes a week off, and plays in week number 10, then he's healthy again or close to healthy for the playoffs. But just don't. That's what I'm saying. Just don't force it, right? For anybody who cares, the spread between these two teams this weekend is very, very close. I believe we're favored at -1.5. Obviously, that's about as close as a pick'em as you get. Let's go ahead and obviously the gambling episode will come separately. Let's go ahead and talk about some changes here after we've talked a little bit about some strategery for Mike Nolan and what I could honestly see as a smart move, right? So changes. Levi Bell has been waived. Just wasn't working out as much, honestly. This was, good player. Sat a couple weeks out from injury and stuff like this, but bringing in Nehemiah Martinez, wide receiver, played as a college ball at Abilene Christian, one young wide receiver, and also took a bunch of these trick plays like jet sweeps and stuff like that while at Abilene Christian. Actually took like 6 or 7 of these kind of rushes Not all 6 or 7, right? I'm not 100% sure if all of them were like that. Some of them were trick plays, but only like 3 receptions. Now his 3 receptions were for like 40-something yards, so obviously got it done through the air as well. But interesting stuff. I have to wonder if this is kind of like a utility player that we're bringing on in here for kind of trick plays that we've seen from what we saw. Jordan Teamu, right, receiving a touchdown from the tight end Bellinger. I can't exactly remember his name. Excuse me, DC fans, but I cannot exactly remember his name. But it was a fantastic trick play. That's what I'm trying to say. Arlington has done this several times. Freaking St. Louis did it against us, right? The trick play for the tutty for like, for what, 40 or 50? No, that wasn't against us. He just bombed it out to Hakeem Butler. And one of those times, DJ Miller fell down. The other time, he just honestly beat the coverage. It is what it is. But yeah, so Levi Bell is out, but Breland Speaks is back. When Breland speaks, the league shall listen. The defensive player of the year last year coming on in here and will be back. Hopefully we're not starting this anytime early, right? Again, I kind of just, I mean, especially with Genda out, I kind of have the same kind of logic with Bryce Perkins. If he's not 100%, maybe play him a little bit, but get him back in the groove of things. You have a week 10 where you're going to be playing against Houston. Yes, it'll be a tough game, but a game ultimately, again, that does not matter, right? It'd be nice to finish up, high win-loss record. And maybe, honestly, I wouldn't be against the proposed change. We'll talk about playoffs in a minute. Anyway, Faison McClurge has been waived as well. Don't believe he saw any targets here. And could be the same kind of situation that Martinez was brought into, right? For that utility player, for that kind of like trick play kind of player. We'll see how that goes, but very, very excited for Breland Speaks to be back. Our defense has their quarterback back. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. Now, let's move on along here and talk about the post-freaking season. We are 6-2 within this within the UFL. We are 3-1 within the USFL division. That means we have punched our ticket to the USFL divisional championship, or the our side of the semifinals, right? Winner of that will go on to the UFL finals. The XFL side of the winner going on playing them, right? Now, just like anybody who's watched this podcast for a while will know the aggravation. Will sense the aggravation in my voice for a reason, right? This is exactly what happened last year. They had the Detroit City Community College graduation, all 1,300 of them, graduating, walking stage, and going on through there at Ford Field, so we could not hold a game. We couldn't host a home game, right? I realize nobody anticipated... Everybody anticipated really Memphis or Houston to be inside there with the Birmingham Stallions. Nobody anticipated us, and nobody gave us a chance, right? Like, damn it, dude. And then the same thing happens this year. I haven't even looked it up. It's just going to make me mad, whatever it is. But Ford Field is occupied, and we can't even host a playoff game, even if we do win these next 2 games. Which goes. I wanted to hold the point until now. Again, it does not matter. Home field advantage does not matter. So why would you start Bryce Perkins? And why would you play Breland Speaks super, super hard and heavy in these next 2 games? It's unfortunate, but it's like backwards logic that really does make sense right here. Anyway, as you can see, there's going to be a couple of the players that kind of agree with me and Jordan Teamu with a very interesting solution. Because, of course, DC they had the women's soccer league that is very, very popular there in DC. That's occupying there. So the XFL Divisional Championships will be in St. Louis, and the USFL Divisional Championship will be in Birmingham. That is the announcement that they made a few days ago, even if the number 1 seeding went the other way. This is Jordan Teamu's point on it.
Yeah, we've heard that going into this week, and we're really like...
Why is this horrible quality? Whatever.
A little frustrated that, if it comes down to that, like, I feel like we do need to play in a neutral spot because, playing back in St. Louis, I mean, I played there, so it's like just having that home field, I mean, for them, that home field advantage while we're the home team is, I don't think it's fair. And
entirely fair.
I think a neutral site, I mean, we've even talked about what about just playing back in Arlington where we don't
Bang.
have to travel, save a lot of money and play there. And I don't know. I just think the league got to figure that out.
Yep, you heard it there. You heard it there from the mouth of a head quarterback within the spring football that has been doing it for a really long time. Why not have it in Arlington, right? Now, you can see a bunch of people are talking about this saves money but doesn't make any money, blah blah. So like, Obviously, St. Louis has the highest attendance here, and logic would follow that, especially for the divisional playoffs, it would be even higher, right? You just don't see that in Birmingham. You just don't see that in in Detroit. I mean, actually, excuse me, let me take that back. Our attendance on average has been up 30% this year. We're the only team, in fact, that has had a positive change. Now, Arlington and one of the other teams has like a minus 1.5% like average attendance. Okay, like whatever. Some of them like Birmingham like minus 18%, and Houston is in the absolute toilet. Memphis is horrible. Relocate those teams immediately. But what the league is thinking is that, oh well, we can sell out another game in St. Louis, and I am not against that. 35,000, 40,000, or whatever else like that can go in there. It makes sense, but also they've already gotten the finals there. Like no matter what, even if St. Louis isn't in it, they've already got the finals in St. Louis. Logic following that there's more UFL fans in the form of St. Louis fans that'll still go to the game for the UFL championship in St. Louis than there would be for other cities. And honestly, outside of DC, I'd say that's 100% fair for pretty much everywhere. Maybe us, but I think you really need to show that same 30% increase in attendance for another year before we really start getting the conversation. And those numbers just have to go up. It doesn't help that Ford Field is obviously an NFL stadium and is nowhere even though we've been putting up similar numbers to like DC and stuff like this, for some of these games, it doesn't look like that at all. It is what it is. This is absolutely brutal, and I feel like if the league sticks to this, my point about not playing Perkins and not playing Speaks and not playing some of our other star players just makes sense. We've clinched. It doesn't matter for us to win these next two games because we're not going to get home field advantage anyway. And specifically for Birmingham, nobody, and I mean nobody, is showing up for these games. The state of Alabama should be absolutely like horrendously embarrassed for the attendance at the Birmingham Stallions Stadium. Like not professional football is such a massive thing there between Auburn and Alabama and all the other high schools and colleges in the area. Spring football should be right there. Like it is. I don't know who should be more embarrassed, Birmingham, Alabama, or the entire state of Texas for their attendance. Honestly, like. DC showing out is amazing. St. Louis, it kind of makes sense, but the amount of fans that go there is absolutely amazing. Detroit, us getting 30% increase and shit like this is just like that is what should be the standard. Unfortunately, it is not, and at least maybe the UFL is rewarding these teams, these cities for having fans that show out. Well, maybe we'll get this treatment here in the future. This is Daryl Johnson, Moose Johnson, who I got to. I haven't done I'm not sure if I've done an episode since then. Who I got to kind of meet. I told him he was a legend or whatever else like that. Went to San Antonio, did the episode with Josh and the Brahma bullpen on down there, and got to go to the game with him. Fantastic! Shout out to Josh and his wife Jen. They're fantastic folks. And we're very accommodating, very, very hosting, right? Anyway, this is Daryl Johnson talking about this and how they've worked extremely hard to remedy the potential number 1 seeds DC and Michigan having to travel number 2 seeds Birmingham and St. Louis for the playoffs. Well, it's not the USFL's fault. Venues made Kendrick Lamar's stage delivery and a non-televised soccer game priority. It is their fault. The playoffs won't be moved to Choctaw Stadium, their home base, should these teams earn number 1 teams. You can't say you worked extremely hard to remedy a situation for coaches and players when you chose ticket sales and TV optics over the obvious situation. A solution, I believe, and what he's talking about, what Matty Fresh is talking about, I believe, obviously, is this obvious solution having to do with competitive, like the competitive nature of having home field advantage.
This season is we had two.
Why is this? Oh my.
Our venues that were going to be unavailable on conference championship weekend. And as luck would have it, we're staring at the potential for 2 of our number 1 seeds to have to play away from their home venues because their venues are unavailable. The biggest one, Ford Field, I think there's a load in for a concert that's going to be played a couple of days after our game, substantial load in for that show. And then there is a lot of soccer going on at Audi Field over the next really 15 to 18 months. And that's one of the things that bumped us out of Audi Field as well. So not just Birmingham, but also you talk about St. Louis having the opportunity to host those playoff games as number 2 seeds. Obviously, it's something that we worked extremely hard on trying to remedy that because it's one of the hardest things to try to explain to a coach, and to have that conversation with Mike Nolan and Shannon Harris that, listen, you guys can go out and do everything that you're supposed to do and secure the number 1 seed, and we're going to have to travel to the number 2 seed. And it's...
Well, you heard it from the man himself. That seems pretty freaking definitive. That sucks, but sounds like, once again, Michigan is going to get completely shafted. Shout out to DC. You guys have been putting up the second highest attendance in the UFL as well, and it looks like you're getting fully shafted as well. I mean, shout out to DC and DC area for having such popular soccer games. If it's really untelevised, that's kind of surprising, honestly, for like kind of the priority there. But it's also, I could have sworn there was like a tournament going on there, so it kind of makes sense for maybe them to have like a couple like standing stadium cameras up, but like it's kind of hard to, you know, to cover each and every single one and stuff like that. But yeah, I if that's the case, DC, let's look at DC's schedule. DC's facing the Roughnecks this upcoming week and facing St. Louis next week, week 10 at Audi Field. Bro, that's gonna be, oh my god, dude. If DC beats the St. Louis Battlehawks and then has to travel to St. Louis to play after they've had the head-to-head, and oh my god, dude, that would be brutal, bro. Yeah. Wait, no, hang on. DC. Wait, did they won the first? Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah, they like doubled up on it. Bro, that's brutal. That is brutal. Like I mean, yes, we play them like literally the week before, but we lost to them previously, so at worst we'd have a head-to-head record. But if they go forth, like, and so at best we'd have a head-to-head record. At worst it'd be 0-2, and so the conversation isn't really like even there, right? We'd have to beat them this weekend, but the thing is, DC would have to lose for it even to be not a conversation, right? It'd have to have a tied head-to-head record for it to even go to like overall win-loss, right? And I mean, am I an idiot here? They have the same, yeah, they have the same win-loss record. Who does DC play? St. Louis plays the San Antonio Brahmas. DC plays the Houston Roughnecks. So this is a gimme game. Yes, St. Louis is going to win this. DC, this is less of a gimme game. I'll definitely give it that. I believe the book has it as like -3.5 right now. And home field advantage doesn't really matter here so much. It will definitely matter right here. But, bro, now that I'm actually looking at this like a little bit more, this is actually even more brutal for them than it is for us. Like, it's cool that we get to finish the season, like in Ford Field, right, against a USFL opponent. But, oh, man. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's just absolutely brutal for DC, man. I really feel for them. We have to win. Beat the Birmingham Stallions, which we've never done this week, and beat Houston next week, which is a little bit easier to even have that be a conversation. But for DC, they've already won once, and St. Louis is just gifted home field advantage, like left, right, and center, man. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. That's gonna be about it. That's gonna be about it from me. Once again. I can't believe I'm saying it, guys. I cannot believe that I am saying it. It just makes sense. The numbers just make sense. You heard it from Moose Johnson right there. We are not going to get a home field advantage, period. It doesn't seem like we're even going to get neutral site, which if we win out or whatever. So logic is simple, folks. I can't believe I'm saying it. Sit Bryce Perkins again. Have Danny Etling strap up this weekend. Again, I'd much rather go 1 for 8, 1 win, 8 losses, with the 8th loss being during the regular season than I would in the USFL Divisional Championship. I can't believe I'm saying it. Cannot believe I'm saying it. Pigs are flying. Pigs are flying, and hail is raining from the sky. Apparently, I don't know. Folks, this has been about it. Appreciate you watching. Like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Big shout out to the UFM as well. Here, bang, bang, go ahead and follow all of them. And because we all make content on the various episodes here, right? Tell me about it. More of a talk show there, the Defending Football Show, as well as the Brahmas Bullpen, the Roughnecks Rundown with our fearless leader, Ace, Josh running the Brahmas Bullpen, as well as Brandon over there with the Captain's Log. We're here at the Panthers Podcast, and we'll be doing the Panthers Picks Podcast, right? The gambling episode after all of this. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.